UFC Vegas 107. How we doing, everybody? My name is Young Pasty, aka the White Boy Wonder, and I'm here today to give you a pick and a prediction for every single fight on the card. And we back, baby. After a week off, it was nice. It was refreshing. We get back to the grind here for UFC Vegas 107. We're back in the Apex, and I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty solid card. There's a lot of fights that I'm excited to watch and break down. So, as we always do, have to recap the last card here 2 weeks ago. UFC Vegas 106. We went 8-3 on the picks. Pretty nice, actually. Now, the Paul Craig Rodolfo Bellato fight got called off due to some medical issues by Bellato, so that's not included in here. But my three letdowns, man, and of course the three people I bet on, right? Sodiq Yusuff, Mateusz Camillo, and Thiago Moises. Thiago Moises just super chinny. I mean, let's just leave it at that. Mateusz Camillo had a first good round against Gabe Green, but man, pulls off a sneaky submission in the second. And then Sodiq Yusuff, after his long layoff, Santos just looked huge and was just way more technical and picked him apart. Michael Morales just shined and beat the crap out of Gilbert Burns till the knockout happened. Denise Gomez, not Dennis Gomez. Denise Gomez. Yeah, she put the business on Elise Reese. She really just mauled her. Park Hyun Sung, quick submission, easy work. Yadir Del Val. I mean, come on. Connor Matthews is just not UFC caliber. They need to boot him at this point. They're just feeding him to the wolves. And then, some women's fights here. Luana Santos, Tisha Pennington were nice. The Melky Costa and Julian Erosa fight. Man, fight of the night. They were going back and forth, tit for tat, throwing punches, getting hit. It was fun. It was exciting. So, overall, 8-3 on the picks for last week or 2 weeks ago. And then overall for the year, 129-74. So, 8-3 on the picks is pretty dang good. Let's move the good momentum into this week for UFC Vegas 107. If you are new to the channel and you haven't, click that subscribe button. We are on the path to 300 subscribers, so let's get there here. All you gotta do is click that subscribe button for me. Appreciate it. Support goes a long way. Click the like button, comment. You know how this goes. But let's get into it, guys. UFC Vegas 107, the main event. We have Erin Cold-Blooded Blanchfield versus Macy the Future Barber. Odds on the fight, we have minus 245 for Erin Blanchfield and plus 200 for Macy Barber. My pick for this fight is going to be Erin Blanchfield. This was very, very hard for me to pick because I like Macy Barber. Man, she's a dog. She's a scrappy little bully, man. She's tough. She has good striking. She has good boxing. She likes to brawl. She's been in some wars. But she has holes in her game that are going to get exposed by Erin Blanchfield. First is going to be the wrestling, right? The wrestling and the grappling. Erin Blanchfield definitely has the advantage over her there. I believe that she's going to take down Macy Barber quite frequently in this fight. Macy Barber is going to find her way back up at times, but Erin Blanchfield has great top control. Ground and pound is nice. Looks for submissions when they're there and they present themselves. Like, Erin Blanchfield has pretty good fighter IQ. She's not stupid. And she's been fighting 5-round fights the past 2 fights. This is Macy Barber's first 5-round fight. Okay? Erin Blanchfield been there twice. Went all 5 rounds with some dogs. Rose and Manon Farriot. Now, this fight Macy Barber had with Amanda Ribas, man, what a war. If you haven't seen that fight, go watch that fight. It's fun. It's a good fight. Now, when it comes to pure striking, I believe Macy Barber may have the slight edge there, but Erin Blanchfield can hold her own too, right? She went tit for tat in rounds with some high-level competition, but ultimately, Erin Blanchfield's, expertise is the wrestling and the grappling. That's what she's going to use to get this fight and win this fight. She's going to get it to the mat, definitely. Now, Macy Barber, last time I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, she had a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So, she's improving and working on things. But the wrestling edge by Erin and the 5-round experience and fighting high-level competition and, her striking is good, okay? Don't get it twisted. Macy Barber definitely has more power in her strikes. I think she has better boxing and better striking, but she has trouble with distance. She has trouble with submissions on the ground. She's hittable at times. Erin Blanchfield can hold her own in the striking, right? Now, Maycee Barber has the slight edge, in my opinion, in the striking, but nevertheless, Erin Blanchfield can hold her own in that department too. So, yeah, my pick is Erin Blanchfield. I got her by decision. The submission would not surprise me at all, not one bit. So, but Maycee Barber's tough, and she's, she knows what she's doing on the mat. So I think she can avoid submissions. Ultimately, just get kind of body on the ground by Erin. So that's my call, is Erin Blanchfield by decision. What do the people on Tapology have to say? 76% of people are picking Erin Blanchfield. 24% of people picking Maycee Barber. Most of these people picking on Tapology are saying this fight's going to go the distance. 90% of people on the Blanchfield side. 85% of people on the Barber side, all saying by decision. So I will say this, though. Maycee Barber is going to be, I think, stronger and bigger. Even though here on Tapology it says she's only an inch taller and has a 3-inch reach disadvantage, like don't let these stats and numbers get it twisted. Look at them in the octagon. Maycee Barber's a lot bigger. Or not a lot bigger. It's going to be bigger than Erin Blanchfield, in my opinion. So that will help her. Nevertheless, Erin Blanchfield's still the pick. So let's move on to our co-main event, guys. We have Mateusz Gamrot, Gamer, versus Ludovit Klein, Mr. Highlight. Odds on the fight, we have minus 166 for Mateusz Gamrot and plus 140 for Ludovit Klein. My pick for this fight is going to be Mateusz Gamrot. This was another tough one for me to pick because I like Ludovit Klein. This guy is a fighter. He is a dog. Great boxer, very technical, powerful. I can go on and on and on about how much I like Ludovit Klein, but Mateusz Gamrot has been there, done that. Ludovit Klein is jumping up very large and very quick in level of competition here. Like, Gamrot was a former champion KSW. Been fighting elites here in the UFC. And Ludovit Klein hasn't gone up against a guy like Mateusz Gamrot with the wrestling and the pressure and the grappling edge and qualities that Mateusz Gamrot possesses. Like, Ludovit Klein's a good striker and a good boxer. He does have good takedown defense and good sprawls. You will see that. He has good fighter IQ. So, within rounds and good coaching too, right? That goes along with good fighter IQ, listening to your coaches when they notice stuff, as long as they're seeing the right stuff, right? But don't get it twisted. Ludovit Klein's a good fighter, but Mateusz Gamrot has been there, done that, has more experience. He's going to be much bigger than Ludovit Klein here. 5'10" to 5'7". Don't let the reach get it twisted. The reach about the same. Mateusz Gamrot, training with American Top Team. That's a really good gym. His striking has been improving from fight to fight to fight. Mateusz Gamrot, he's known as a grueling kind of grappling, wrestling pressure guy, right? Hold you up against the fence, take you down, hold you down. He doesn't really necessarily have knockout power, but he can hit you with a good one. Again, his striking's been improving, his boxing's been improving. It's not to the level of Ludovit Klein, I would say, right? But what's going to win Gamrot this fight is the takedowns, man. He has a great single leg takedown. He has great top control. He will not let people back up. I'd imagine Ludovit Klein is maybe get up a time or two, but he's going to ultimately succumb and hold himself to the ground because Gamrot he has great top control, man. He rolls with people's, scrambles and attempts to get up. People trying, use the fence. He kind of like whips their butt, pulls them back to the ground. Like, Gamrot's pretty dang good at holding people on the ground. So, tons of experience, MMA experience. Ludovit Klein has a lot of boxing experience. Yes, their records show a lot of experience on both sides, but look at this. We'll compare the UFC fights, the last 5 UFC fights. And you'll see the level of competition Gamrot's going against and the wins are much better than Ludovit Klein. So, Dan Hooker, split decision, arguably probably won that fight. Rafael Dos Anjos, Rafael Fiziev, Jalen Turner, Beneil Dariush. Like, I imagine Ludovit Klein's probably going to lose to all of those guys, right? Roosevelt Roberts is your last fight, and now you're stepping up to Mateusz Gamrot. It's a big jump there. You know what I mean? Thiago Moises, that win is not aging well. AJ Cunningham, not something to brag about. Ignacio Bahamondes, pretty solid win. Okay, I will give you that. And it shows that he does pretty decent against people that are bigger than him. And then a majority draw with Jai Herbert, which, again, shows people bigger than him. I mean, yes, he can kind of overcome it, and he did with Ignacio, but Ignacio doesn't have the wrestling and grappling pressure that Gamrot possesses. I wanted to pick Ludovit Klein, guys. I really did, and he's one of the fighters I've always kind of backed. But this is not the spot for him. This is jumping up too quick. Like, Gamrot's ranked 7th, I believe. So, and this is your first ranked fighter, and you're coming off a win against Roosevelt Roberts. Like, that's just a huge step up in competition, Ludovit Klein. He's up for the challenge. I imagine Gamrot and Klein are going to take this all 3 rounds. My official call is Gamrot by decision. The people on Tapology. 76% of people are picking Gamrot. 24% of people are picking Ludovit Klein. And again, most people say this fight's going to go the distance. 91% of people say Gamrot will win by decision. So, I agree. And we move on to our next fight that we're breaking down. We have Ramiz Brahimaj versus Billy Ray Goff. We odds on the fight here. We have plus 270 for Ramiz Brahimaj and minus 340 for Billy Ray Goff. My pick for the fight is going to be Billy Goff. But my gosh, let me just get this out of the way. The odds here are crazy. This is just unjustified. Minus 340 for Billy Goff. Yes, I know Ramiz Brahimaj isn't, technically, the best fighter in the UFC, right? Wins aren't really impressive, and losses are not impressive either, getting handled. But Billy Goff at minus 340, like, his wins aren't really that impressive either. It's only a win on Dana White Contender Series and a win over Yusaku Kinoshita where, he really had to come back. And Billy Ray Goff, this dude's a dog, okay? He is a dog, and he has a lot of heart. But he has a lot of flaws in his game, man. When I say flaws, this dude is very hittable. Like, it's really hard to miss him. He will just eat shots left and right. He's usually advancing. I shouldn't say usually. He always is advancing. Like, his foot's always on the pedal. He has pretty good cardio, decent gas tank. Like, he will just keep coming and coming and coming. Okay. He will just keep advancing. And sometimes recklessly. Most of the time recklessly. He's just super hittable. He has a good chin, though. So, his philosophy of eat one, give one will work if his chin works. You know what I mean? He's just kind of bad defensively. Himself, he can mix in grappling, he can takedowns. He has nice fence work. He has super heavy leg kicks. But Ramiz Brahimaj, on the other hand here, on the other side, is just, again, his tenure in the UFC, not very good. Wins, he has 2 first-round submissions and a knockout, but don't get it twisted. These are against people that are not very good. Sasha Palatinnikov, Michael Gilmore, Mickey Gall. And you see the records, and these are UFC people, right? Losing to Court McGee, handedly. Losing to Timbo Grimbo, handedly. Now, is Billy Goff to the level of those fighters? I would say probably not. Gosh, the odds are just crazy. Ramiz Brahimaj has good kicks. He has okay striking. He's mid. He does pretty good in the first round. He can snatch the back pretty quick if you leave it exposed. But on the other hand, if you show any sort of wilt or succumb to pressure, Billy Goff is going to capitalize on that and expose that. So how I see this fight playing out, Billy Goff is just going to kind of hunt down Ramiz Brahimaj either until he gets knocked out or the whole fight. We may see some grappling exchanges here and there. Billy Goff can kind of hold his own. I don't think he's going to get submitted by Ramiz Brahimaj. That would be kind of a crazy, degenerate call. But overall, I mean, I don't know why this fight is so high up and on the main card to begin with. There's a lot of other fights I'd rather put up here, but Billy Goff is my pick. I say Billy Goff by knockout. Ramiz is going to succumb to the pressure, the stupid pressure of Billy Goff. Yeah, he'll probably get hit in the face probably 80 times, but he'll throw 80 punches back. Ramiz will fold. Fold to the pressure. Billy Goff by KO. 83% of people on Tapology are picking Billy Goff to win. Most say by KO. And 17% of people are picking Brahimaj, and it's a little split between everything. Decision, submission, KO. So, yeah, I think Billy Goff can get it done here, guys. I mean, I think, again, the odds aren't justified in my opinion, but Billy Goff's, mix of wrestling, boxing, pressure, good chin will win him the fight. So, let's move on. To our next fight here. We got Dustin Jacoby, the Hanyak, versus Bruno Lopes. Bruno. Odds on the fight, we have minus 185 for Dustin Jacoby and plus 154 for Bruno Lopes. My pick for the fight is going to be Dustin Jacoby. I say that with slight confidence. I'm giving him the nod because he has more UFC experience. I think his distance management is pretty good. Has a solid jab. Has a pretty good leg kicks and solid striking and pretty decent volume. So those are all the reasons why I picked Dustin Jacoby. But don't sleep on Bruno Lopes. Okay, had a nice little run in the LFA prior to the UFC. His subs and KO are both live. He has decent power. He has nice little hooks and a 1-2. And his submissions are live too, right? And he has decent fence work. He can hold people against the fence and have a boring fight. That's what he did with, Magomed Gadzhiesulov. Yeah, it was a boring fight. He won the fight, though. Just held him up on the fence and, went to work. His ground and pound's pretty good, too, if he gets people down to the ground. I will say this. Throughout Dustin Jacoby's UFC tenure, he really hasn't gone up against, huge wrestling or grappling threats, right? And I'm not saying Bruno Lopes is some elite grappler or wrestler, but he may throw in some looks that Dustin Jacoby may not be used to or doesn't see too often, right? In the grappling or wrestling department. I'll just say that. But Bruno Lopes is very hittable. He's very sus to kicks and just straight shots. And Dustin Jacoby has really good kicks, has a really good jab. So I think he's going to expose that. Dustin Jacoby likes his little dancey kind of movement, kind of bounces around the octagon, mixes in his pressure a little bit, has good volume. Great fakes and feints from Jacoby all the time. He just really has to watch out for the power of Bruno Lopes and if he gets taken down because Bruno Lopes is younger, right? Dustin Jacoby's 37. Bruno Lopes 32. That's a it's a notable difference when it comes to these ages here now, 22, 27. The youth factor there doesn't really make a difference, right? Maybe in experience terms, but when it comes to here, right, when you're getting on the later end of your 30s, it's just your body and your chin just kind of start letting you down at some point. So are we going to see the fall of Dustin Jacoby? Yes, he had to win against Vitor Petrino, but that dude got fraud checked by everybody. And then, you're losing to Dominic Reyes. That loss is, I guess, aging well because Reyes is on a run. Lose to Alonzo Menafield. Beat Kenny Nchukwu by KO, but, and then losing to Azamat Murzakanov. So, a lot of those people are going to handle Bruno Lopes, But, yeah, I picked Dustin Jacoby, again, with slight confidence. I mean, this dude had a killer run from 2020 to 2022. He was just winning. Then, kind of went on this little not L streak, but not the best momentum rolling into the fight here. At least he has a win here in the past 6 months. So also training out of Colorado. I like that. So Tapology. 69% of people are picking Dustin Jacoby. I say Dustin Jacoby by decision, by the way. Most say by KO. Like what? Jacoby, I don't know. I don't really think he has KO power, to be honest with you. Yeah, everyone can get a good shot in, but he's not like some heavy hitter. Like, that's not what he's known for, you know what I mean? But he can throw a punch. 31% of people are picking Bruno Lopes, and most say by KO on that side too. Really? People think this fight's not going to go long. We'll see. Pretty cool fight. We move on to the next one. Oh, they moved this to the main card. Sweet. Okay. Love to see that. We have Ketlen Vieira Fenomeno versus Macy Chiasson. Odds in the fight, we have -105 for Ketlen Vieira and -115 for Macy Chiasson. Essentially a pick'em. Odds have been kind of going back and forth ever since they dropped. My pick for the fight is going to be Macy Chiasson. I think Macy Chiasson's good, guys. I think she's rolling into this fight with a lot better momentum than Ketlen Vieira. I know Ketlen Vieira is good, right? She's fighting a lot better competition, but her momentum's kind of fading. And yes, she's fighting better people. It's just fight after fight after fight. She's not looking better. It's not like she's looking improved. And it's almost again, I think she's just kind of fading. That's just what the momentum looks like, in my opinion. Macy Chiasson's look dang good. And she's always going to be the bigger fighter. Look at this, 5'11 to 5'8, 72-inch reach versus 68-inch reach. So she's always been the bigger fighter, but she has had weight cut issues in the past, so the scale issue may be something to look at, maybe check weigh-ins before you maybe officially, bet on this fight. But Macy Chiasson has pretty decent striking. Her elbows, she has these nice pointy elbows that do a lot of damage when she's in the clinch on the fence. She can mix in wrestling, but that's not really her game. So can Ketlen Vieira, but that's not really her game either. There's probably going to be some, some clinching on the fence from both of them. But ultimately, this fight should be standing on the feet. So, and if that's the case, Macy Chiasson loves to hold distance. She has good kicks. She's strong. She's strong. She's effective in the clinch. Nice knees. I like Macy Chiasson, man. Tough girl. Ketlen Vieira is good too. She has decent striking. She has a nice left hook. She has nice little blitzes with 3-4 shots at a time. She is hittable at moments. She's kind of stiff at times. She can get taken down in body. We've seen that in a couple of her fights here. Kayla Harrison took her down. Raquel Pennington didn't take her down, but held her up against the fence and was able to do that for quite some time. So, nevertheless, she can get control. That's what I'm saying here. She has jiu-jitsu. She's tough too. She was highly ranked at one point. I think she was ranked second at one point. Her power's okay. I think Chiasson has the power advantage there. Chiasson loves to switch up her stances too. I love that. Yeah, I'm high on Macy Chiasson in this fight here. Again, Tapology odds are wrong. Don't look at those. Macy Chiasson's -115, slight favorite now. Essentially still a pick'em though. But yeah, guys, I think Macy Chiasson puts on a good performance here. I think this is going to go all 3 rounds. It's going to go distance. Macy Chiasson by decision is my official pick. What does Tapology have to say? This is closer than I thought. 65% of people picking Macy Chiasson. Yeah, most say by decision here, guys. And then Ketlen Vieira, 35% of people picking Ketlen Vieira. Most say by decision. I think this fight does go all 3 rounds. These girls are tough. I just think Maycee Chiasson, the bigger girl, stronger, quicker, tougher, has the better momentum. Ketlen Vieira has kind of been fading at times in these last few fights. I think Maycee Chiasson shines here, guys. Maycee Chiasson by decision is my official pick. Let's move on to the next one. We got Zach Savage Reese versus Dusko Thunder Todorovic. Odds on the fight, we have minus 238 for Zach Reese and plus 195 for Dusko Todorovic. My pick for this fight is going to be Zach Reese. Give me the Savage. This is a low-level middleweight fight. Let's be honest, guys. Right? Dusko Todorovic is living or dying by the KO in his last few fights. Zach Reese is athletic, strong, taller, has a slight reach advantage. I think he gets the job done, but it's not like he's high caliber either, right? Losing to Cody Brundage. Now, the Azamat Bakoyev loss, can't give him crap for that. That dude's a stud. And his wins aren't very impressive either. Julian Marquez, old and washed. Jose Medina was a sacrifice, a lamb into the UFC for everyone to beat up. And again, Dusko Todorovic, living or dying by the KO. Lost to Mansour by KO. Lost to CLD by KO. Beat Jordan Wright by KO, but nothing to brag about. Lost to Chitty by KO. Won against Maki Pitolo by KO, but nothing to brag about. Honestly, the thing Dusko can brag about the most in the UFC is that he went 3 rounds with RoboCop back in the day. He went 3 rounds with RoboCop in RoboCop's UFC debut, Gregory Rodriguez. And that's your biggest bragging point, is that you went 3 rounds and lost with somebody and you didn't get knocked out in that fight. But ever since, man, this guy is super chinny, dude. His striking's really not that good. He likes to get into brawls, but he leaves his chin up in the air and exposed, and people just find it and drop him. Honestly, Dusko's path to victory here is to utilize his wrestling and maybe try and take down Zach Reese, hold him up against the fence, get some takedowns, get some ground and pound in, hold him down and do some pray and lay. Zach Reese, though, I think he can withstand any sort of takedown attempts Dusko throws his way. Zach Reese has some pretty nice power. He's pretty good in the clinch. I love his elbows and knees. Those are really nice. A problem I've found with Zach Reese, though, is that he just somehow ends up on his back in fights. Somehow, some way. Whether he does it himself or somebody else does it, he always finds himself on his back somehow. But he can get back up to his feet. He's, not the most technically sound. He's not, the best fighter in the world. I'm sure, he's a good guy. He's just, a solid fighter overall. He's kind of chinny, too, at times. I mean, Cody Brundage, this is a slam, he literally just slammed his head into the mat. So I don't know if I can give him grief for that, but it's a loss to Cody Brundage by KO. And then Azamat Bakoyev beat the crap out of him on the ground. Zach Reese can get takedowns too. But he, again, him himself can get taken down. Dusko's path to victory here is to take Zach Reese down. Zach Reese's path to victory here is to knock out Dusko, which is shown to be not very difficult. If you have any worth in the UFC, you will be able to knock out Dusko Todorovic. So Zach Reese by KO is my official pick. I think he can get it done. I think he finds the shot. I think he gets it done early in the first round. So that's my pick. I think Dusko's on his way out. He really needs to win this fight to save his career. So, what does Tapology have to say? All right, the people on Tapology. 90% of people are picking Zach Reese to win. Most say by KO. 10% of people are picking Todorovic to win. And most say by KO. Yeah, I don't see this fight going long. Unless Dusko takes a heavy grappling wrestling approach and doesn't get chinned in the process. So, Zach Reese by KO is my official pick. Let's keep it rolling, guys. Next fight. We have Allan Nascimento, Puro Oso versus Jafel Filho, Pastor. Odds on the fight, we have minus 155 for Allan Nascimento and plus 130 for Jafel Filho. My pick for this fight is going to be the Pastor. Let's pray. Give me Jafel Filho to win this fight here. This dude is an expert on the mat. Honestly, both of these guys are pretty well versed in the grappling and the wrestling, but Jafel Filho is pretty dang good on the mat. He has great ground and pound, always looking for submissions when they present themselves, has really solid takedowns and trips, and can get people to the mat pretty easy. But again, on the other side, Allan Nascimento, that's his game too, right? He loves submissions, likes to work off of his back a lot. Submissions are always live in that department. I imagine that Allan Nascimento will have no issue or problem just laying on his back and trying to get submissions that way. I think Jafel Filho, though, and both of these guys are Brazilian. So this is tough because if you know me, I love my Brazilian fighters. Okay, they call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a reason. Anyway, I think Jafel Filho has him, has the edge in the wrestling and the grappling compared to Allan Nascimento. Now on the feet, I think he's going to have a reach advantage and a little bit taller. Allan Nascimento is. And I think he holds distance a lot better than Jafel Filho. And I think that in the striking, he's a lot more technical. Jafel Filo's kind of a little bit wild when it comes to striking. He has a lot more power, and he's a dog, and he'll move forward. There's times where grappling and wrestling, they nullify themselves, and we just have a striking battle. I don't think that's going to happen here. I think Jafel Filho is going to look for the takedown. I think he's going to get it early. I think he's going to get it a lot. And I think he's going to go to work. I think he's going to get the ground and pound in. I think he's going to look for a submission. I think Jafel Filho is going to get the submission over Allan Nascimento, his fellow Brazilian fighter friend. I actually don't know if they're friends. Probably not, since they're fighting each other here. One thing I don't like about Jafel Filho, though, and I hate this about a lot of fighters, is when the wrestling or grappling exchange is done and one person's up on their feet, he just sits there on his butt until they either get back down or he's forced back up. I hate that crap. Okay? I hate that crap. Oh, come wrestle with me on the ground. Shut up, dude. Get up. Your opponent's up. If they wanted to exchange and wrestle with you, then they would get back down on the ground. It's just, I hate that tactic. But besides the point, I think Jafel Filho gets it done. So give me the underdog at plus 130. Jafel Filho by submission. Rear naked choke. Tapology. 60% of people are picking Nascimento. Most say by decision. 40% of people are picking Jafel Filho. We have 60% by decision and 35% by submission. So I'm on the other side here of the Tapology pickers. Man, I think even though Jafel Filho does have a little, some red flags in his game, I think he can get the job done. I don't really think Allan Nascimento is that impressive, to be honest with you. Beat Carlos Hernandez, beat Jake Hadley. Split decision loss over Tagir Ulanbekov. The name value on Allan Nascimento's side, I think a lot of people are putting too much emphasis in that. Jake Hadley doesn't even fight in the UFC anymore. Are you going to say that's a good, solid win? I mean, it's okay, right? Carlos Hernandez, showing he's, on the slip and slide on the way down. You know what I mean? Ode Osborne, submission over Daniel Perez, and then a loss to Muhammad Mokaev. So you could say that these guys have had similar paths, right? Losing to some pretty good competition and winning against over names that are okay. You know what I mean? But I think Jafel Filho has the edge here, guys. So that's my pick by submission. So let's keep it rolling. All right, next fight we have Jordan Leavitt, the Monkey King, versus Kurt Holobaugh, the Hurt. Odds on the fight, we have minus 192 for Jordan Leavitt and plus 160 for Kurt Holobaugh. My pick for this fight is going to be Jordan Leavitt. And I say that with a grain of salt, guys. This isn't a very super high confident pick. First off, I really can't trust Kurt Holobaugh anymore. He's really let me down a lot of times. And then Jordan Leavitt has a lot of red flags. Yes, he is the younger fighter. He's going to be 8 years younger than Kurt Holobaugh, but Jordan Leavitt had a 2-year layoff from the UFC, has withdrew multiple times due to injuries. Is there a health issue going on, right? He contemplated retirement at one point, so it's how focused are you? He's training out of a decent gym, but I think that the comeback, the training, he's active in the gym, right? I've seen go look on his Instagram, he's training, right? But I just don't know how focused he is. So I would say check weigh-ins. That's another fight where I'm check weigh-ins on this, guys, before you bet it. Because how good or bad is Jordan Leavitt going to look on the scale? How's that weight cut going to affect him? He hasn't done that for a while. Then Kurt Holobaugh getting older there. 38 years old, you know what I mean? This guy is gritty. He's tough. He's just super hittable, right? Kurt Holobaugh is super hittable. He mixes in the wrestling. Is it effective? Sometimes. He likes to clinch a lot on the fence. He's usually the pressuring fighter. I would say that Kurt Holobaugh will probably be pressuring, and Jordan Leavitt will be on the back foot. Jordan Leavitt has good kicks, good heavy kicks. He's good on the clinch on the fence. I think he has the advantage there. He can get takedowns. I think he has the grappling and wrestling advantage over Kurt Holobaugh. I think he's a lot stronger. He has these thick thighs. He has pretty good takedowns off the fence, double legs. Submissions are live too on Jordan Leavitt's side. He's good in scrambles, right? So Kurt Holobaugh ends up getting the back or getting some sort of position or a takedown. I think Jordan Leavitt will, have enough knowledge to get back up and get back onto the feet or flip position. Solid takedown defense, pretty solid cardio. Now the Monkey King, Jordan Leavitt, this is the guy that got teabagged by Paddy Pimblett. Okay, remember that. Choked out and then teabagged by Paddy Pimblett for the whole world to see. And then again by Chase Hooper. I mean, he has a win over Trey Ogden, a gritty vet kind of like Kurt Holobaugh. Knockout win over Victor Martinez. I know these are a while ago. Again, it's just the red flags for me is just long layoff, consider retirement, health issues. What's going on, Jordan Leavitt? But throwing all the issues out the window and breaking down the fight, assuming those aren't an issue, I think that he would get the job done. So, Kurt Holobaugh just keeps letting me down. Just keeps letting me down. One thing on Kurt Holobaugh's side, I will say, he likes to catch kicks. Jordan Leavitt throws a lot of kicks, so I can see Holobaugh getting a takedown off of a caught kick from Jordan Leavitt. But again, as I said, Jordan Leavitt's pretty well versed on the ground and good at scrambling. I think he can find his way back up. Another fight to check weigh-ins on. But ultimately, Jordan Leavitt by decision is my pick. Kurt Holobaugh's tough. So 77% of people on Tapology are picking Jordan Leavitt. 23% of people are picking Kurt Holobaugh. Most say by decision. Jordan Leavitt by submission. That is live too. So yeah, Jordan Leavitt's my pick. Let's keep it rolling and move on to the next fight on the card. We have Andreas Gustafsson, Bane, versus Trevin Giles, the problem. Odds on the fight, we have plus 130 for Trevin Giles and minus 155 for Andreas Gustafsson. My pick for this fight is going to be Trevin Giles. Yeah, I know. Give me crap about it. Yeah, I know he's off of a 3-fight losing streak. And yes, he's taking this fight on short notice, 1 week notice here. But I think his UFC experience will do him justice. I think he's the more technical fighter. I think he can weather the crazy storm of Andreas Gustafsson in the first round. Andreas Gustafsson, if you haven't seen his fights or don't know him, he's a crazy man. Okay, he just moves forward recklessly, holds you up against the fence, relentless pressure, pretty nasty in the clinch. But there's a lot of holes in his striking game. He is very not defensively sound whatsoever. He loves to brawl and get hit in the face, which is not, when you're in a fist fight, you're not supposed to be getting hit in the face. You're supposed to be throwing the punches and avoiding the shots. You know what I mean? But he just eats them. He reminds me of a Bogdan Guskov-esque style, but with no defense. But he's tough. He can throw down. He's been in some wars. This dude beat CLD in the amateurs, Christian Leroy Duncan, who is pretty dang good, in my opinion. Gustafsson's tough. Again, great work on the fence, and he just moves forward constantly, has okay striking and boxing, but ultimately the pressure. People succumb to the pressure and get beat up by Andreas. But I think Trevin Giles has pretty decent distance management. If he does get held up on the fence, he can flip position. He's tough. He can mix in the wrestling and the grappling. Again, he has lots of UFC experience. And yes, he's on a skid right now, but are we going to knock him for the losses? Yeah, we can a little bit, but they're against good competition, guys. Mike Malott, Carlos Prates, Gabriel Bonfim. These guys are some killers, man. These guys are some killers. Okay, prior to that, a split decision win over Preston Parsons looked pretty decent. A decision win over Louis Koske, but we can go back and back and back. But Trevin Giles, I think he can weather the storm. He has good counters too. So if Andreas is throwing a lot, I think Trevin Giles can find a good shot. He just really needs to survive that first round flurry of Andreas. Andreas is going to gas himself out. I guarantee you, man. I know a lot of people on the Andreas side. I think Andreas had a better shot in his other opponent. I don't know who his other opponent was, whoever dropped out of this. I think he had a better shot against them. But now you're going up against a vet here in Trevin Giles. I think Trevin Giles still has it, man. He's a very streaky fighter. He wins a bunch and then loses a bunch. He's never lost more than 3 times in his career in a row. I think he gets it back on track here. Trevin Giles, by decision, is my pick. I know it's a wild call, but man, I just have a feeling. It's not going to be a fraud check. I just think Andreas is going to gas himself out and realize that Trevin Giles is not just going to sit there and take it the whole fight. You know what I mean? So, all right, 87% of people are picking Andreas Gustafsson. Most say by KO. 13% of people are picking Trevin Giles. Most say by decision on that end. I'm in the 13% here. But why is he only a plus 130 underdog and everyone's picking Andreas Gustafsson? Okay? There's something funky about that number. Regardless of the number, my pick is still Trevin Giles, but something to think about, guys, before you start laying down heavy on Andreas or throwing him in parlays and stuff. The number's kind of funky here. So, Trevin Giles by decision is my official call. Let's keep it rolling. Just a few fights left. 2 of them, a couple left. All right, guys. We have Markel Medeiros versus Bolaji Oki, the Zulu Warrior. Odds on the fight, we have plus 142 for Markel Medeiros and minus 170 for Bolaji Oki. My pick for this fight is going to be Markel Medeiros. Give me the underdog again. I think Bolaji Oki just has a little too much hype surrounding him. And he's constantly the favorites in fights and has, shown some letdowns in some spots, right? Lost to Christian Duncan. Honestly, the split win over Timmy Kuamba could have gone either way, man. And why are you going to split decision with Timmy Kuamba when you are supposed to be this crazy, heavy, powerful striker, which you are, right? You do have powerful shots. You have a heavy jab. You have heavy kicks. But I think Markel Medeiros' movement is going to present a lot of problems for Bolaji Oki. I think he's going to get frustrated and not be able to find the mark on Markel. I think if he does get a punch in, Markel is good at kind of rolling around. Markel is he dances around the octagon, comes in and out with his shots, right? Comes in, punches, gets back out, and, avoids any sort of danger. He is hittable at times, right? So maybe Bolaji Oki can take advantage of that when he could potentially corner him up in a spot in the octagon. Again, we're in the apex, right? So there's a lot less room for Markel to work with in there. But Markel's not no stranger to a small octagon. So Markel's striking is decent. I would say Balaji's the more technical striker, but he's going to be the advancing fighter, but he's just sometimes too hesitant and can be caught looking, right? And that's the downfall to some of these heavy hitters is they're always kind of looking for that one shot and it never comes. He needs to check his kicks. Markel's going to be mixing the kicks in, so I think Balaji leg is going to get eaten up. Markel can find success mixing in the kicks. Fence work, I do imagine that both of these guys are going to be clinching on the fence at some point. When it comes to wrestling and grappling, like Balaji is not really good on the mat. And we saw it got exposed with Christian Duncan. And check the receipts. I called the Christian Duncan win. Most people were on the Balaji side there. I'm doubting my boy Christian Duncan. But, Oki's takedown defense is okay. So is Markel Medeiros. This is going to be a striking battle. I don't see any grappling or wrestling happening on the mat at all whatsoever. If that does happen, it would be a takedown and control attempt by Balaji. Maybe it works because of athleticism, but Markel can find his way back up. So, and then on his way back up, getting mixed in some shots. He has some pretty decent counters, Medeiros does. But yeah, I got Markel Medeiros by decision. Again, I think Balaji is not going to be able to find the mark too often, and Markel Medeiros, with his distance management, good movement, and his shots and volume are going to add up and ultimately win him the fight. Now he's just kind of been sliding by, man. Split decision over Austin Hubbard, a win over Landon Quianos, where he did kind of take over at one point, but was kind of getting beat and pieced up, and then a good KO win to get him into the UFC. Obviously, everyone has that, so I like seeing that. Right? Not a decision win to get your way into the UFC, a freaking KO. But Balaji also had his way with that too. So, all right. What does Tapology have to say? 65% of people picking Markel Medeiros. Most say by decision. 35% of people picking Balaji. Wow. So the odds makers are still showing Balaji love. But the Tapology folks have switched. Okay. Also, Markel Medeiros is training out of Factory X Muay Thai, pretty good gym in Colorado, like that. Yeah, I mean, I like Markel Medeiros here as an underdog too. So, by decision, that's my official call. We move on. The last fight we're breaking down in the first fight of the night. We have Rayan dos Santos versus Alice Ardaline. Odds in the fight, we have minus 270 for Rayan and plus 220 for Alice. My pick for this fight is going to be Rayan dos Santos. Now, these girls' careers in the UFC have looked very similar, right? 2 straight L's in the UFC. Now, I will say Dos Santos was blindly robbed in the Puja Tomar fight. Hated that one. The Talita Alankar split loss ages pretty well. Talita Alankar is pretty dang good in my opinion. Losing to Melissa Martinez and Shauna Bannon, not a good look there, Alice Ardaline. Anywho, Rayan dos Santos has the clear striking advantage in my opinion. Alice Ardaline likes to mix in takedowns, but if she does get people to the ground, she really doesn't do too much with them, right? It's just more of like a control and lay there kind of situation. Rayan has a nice little 1-2. She moves around a lot in the octagon, has good head movement. I think she's more powerful than Alice. She's, the younger fighter? 4 years younger? I don't know why, but I don't know. I feel like Alice Ardaline is just so old for some reason. No offense, Alice. In the UFC, I guess. But Rayan, she needs to put on more volume. She has decent volume. I think she'll put on more volume than Alice, but she needs to put on more. That's really kind of burnt her in the past. Now, her takedown defense is bad. I imagine Alice may get her taken down at some point and will be able to control her on the ground. Honestly, Rayan can get bodied on the fence and on the mat, and that is where Alice can find success here. but she just has no ground and pound whatsoever. Not really looking for too many submissions. She has like okay blitzes, but she's sloppy on the feet, man. Alice is. Keeps her hands super low. Not really the most technical striker. Sus to kicks. Rayanne can mix some kicks in. Her herself can get taken down, but Rayanne really don't be taking people down. And like Alice isn't very powerful. Rayanne has a lot more power than Alice. I will say that Alice may have the cardio advantage. We've seen her go 3 rounds, and we've seen Rayanne kind of fade in the later part of rounds, second and third round, getting kind of tired in those points. But I imagine she'll be able to pull off the win here. One of these girls will get their first UFC win. This was good matchmaking. Get one of these girls a win here. I think it's Rayanne Dos Santos, though. I think the younger fighter pulls it off. This may be another kind of a split decision. But I think it may go Rayanne's way. So, Dos Santos by decision is my official pick. What do the people on Tapology have to say? Holy moly. 92% of people are picking Dos Santos, most say by decision. 8% of people are picking Alice Ardeline, and most say by decision. Yeah, I don't see Alice Ardeline winning this at all. I think Dos Santos has clear advantages. Just don't get taken down. And even if she does get taken down, just get back up, because Alice Ardeline ain't doing nothing with it. So, all right, guys. Those are the official predictions and picks for UFC Vegas 107. If you have made it this far, thank you so much. Again, we are on the road to 300 subscribers, so if you are new or if you have not, click that subscribe button for me. It goes a long way. Click the like button, throw a comment down there. Patreon's free. Links in the description. That's where I put all of my bets out before I place them. The bets video comes out on Wednesdays. Now this week it will be coming out on Thursday. Things are a little bit pushed back this week due to the holiday here, but yeah, check the Patreon. It's free. Links in the description. That's where I put all my bets out. When I place them, the odds always sway in the opposite way, and come the bet video and fight time, you'll see we are usually always ahead of the odds. So, hey, let's have a good week this week. 8-3 last week. Let's have a good week, winning week this week. Let's get it going, guys. I'm super excited. We have fist fights to watch this Saturday. So, Young Pasty, out. Let's go.